Hi there, welcome back. Welcome back to another video in the restoration series for the Grundig Satellit 6001. We left off having completed the AM IF alignment, also the cleaning, or started the cleaning on that drum tuner. But I'm going to start really with an apology and a bit of a warning. I have to apologize to one or two of my subscribers who commented about the use of this little bugger. This is that fiberglass pen. Now, I was warned that this thing, you have to be very careful when you're playing with this because the actual fiberglass fibers get worn off. And when those things get on your skin, they really do itch like crazy. They border on pain, okay? And I sort of poo-pooed that and I actually made a joke with in one of the comments about what a sort of prima donna upbringing I had, and that I wouldn't go so far as to worry about this sort of thing. Well, I did. I ended up finding out the hard way that you should be careful with this thing. When I was cleaning this drum tuner, there's a lot of cleaning to do, right? And I had no gloves on, and I had no vacuum cleaner to pull up the, to suck in the microfibers that get washed off here or scraped off here. And I ended up with some serious pain or itch on my hands. I mean, this thing was terrible. I'm laughing now. I wasn't laughing then. In fact, I was sort of laughing at myself for having been such an idiot. And so yeah, be careful with this thing. Don't find out the way I did. The only good thing I can say is when I had all that stuff on my hands, I didn't feel like going to the loo. I'll let you imagine the rest. All right, what we're going to do today, I've done all the cleaning of the drum. I've oiled it or lubricated all the moving parts, and I have had to put some of the front back. You'll see why in a moment. But I didn't do the RF alignment at all of the the normal AM bands, the first three bands, and certainly haven't done the drum tune bands yet either. So I want to start with the RF alignment. I came up with a little bit of a problem, but I think a solution was found about how to go about that. So let me show you that, and we'll see how far we can get on this one. If this sort of thing is interesting to you, stick around. And if you use these, stay away from the loo. Before going any further, I'd like to thank the sponsor of the video, PCBWay. As you're probably aware, I've used their services numerous times. Everything I need to do on PCBs, they're the guys I go to. I've mostly needed, the standard PCBs, but if you want to go any further, and I probably will be in the near future, they've got some pretty amazing production facilities here. You've got the advanced PCBs, which I haven't used before, but a lot of you probably do. And of course, they've got the flex PCBs as well, which could come in very useful depending on how you want to lay out your project. Have a look at their website. They've got an incredible amount of services, including the CNC stuff and the assembly services that they also offer. So I'm sure you'll find something of interest to you. I finished all the cleaning of the drum in there. I checked the components, everything seems fine. Cleaned up the board, cleaned up the back. No problem. Also cleaned up all these things so that they can look nice and clean. Now you'll see some little lines on there, and I'll explain to you what those are in a second. What I have to do is I want to do the RF alignment of the long wave, medium wave and short wave bands. Those are the three that you see on this side. On that side you would see the FM, which I'm leaving for now. That's the last thing I'm going to be doing. Now, when you align these bands, you have to have access to the front, and I believe the same is going to happen when we align these guys. You have to have access to the front. Now, when you align them, RF align them, what you're doing is you're making sure that whatever you're pointing at here, whatever frequency you're pointing at here, is what you're actually getting through at its optimum level. So you align the oscillator to make sure that it corresponds perfectly with the dial. You align the intermediate stage to make sure that it's amplifying the right frequency band, and you align the antenna circuit to make sure that it is tuned properly so that your sensitivity is best. Now to do that, you need to be able to see the dial. Now the dial is sitting over there, and to get access to the dial, and you need to put this in the radio so you can see where you're tuning to, but then you got to align these things over here. So the only thing that, well, the illogical way of doing it would be put this in the radio, set the frequency you want, take it out of the radio, make an alignment, take it out, change the frequency. That is crazy, right? And I looked around and tried to figure out how to do this. I discussed this with my friend Derek. He's just done one of these. And he decided that we would sort of measure from the bottom. So we would know where the bottom is, where the absolute bottom is, measure how many centimeters or millimeters above. Then I remembered that I was being an idiot. I took a piece of plastic, I put it on the dial there, on the faceplate, and I marked off the frequencies that I need. Now on long wave I need 160 kilohertz, so I made a dot. In fact, that dot down there is not 160, that is the bottom of the dial, the bottom of the pointer. And then 160 kilohertz is that first dot. I think this is, what is that, 3 something, 320, and that is whatever it is. It's 3 frequencies we need. So I've now marked them on the little piece of plastic, slipped it at the back, just holding it here with a bit of tape, and remove that quite easily. I've done the same for the medium wave frequencies. There are 3 of them. That one, and that one. And also for the shortwave one, there's one there, and one there. So that saves a hell of a lot of trouble. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be following the alignment instructions for long wave, medium wave, and short wave. I'm probably not going to touch the ferrite antenna because that's in there and it's sort of melted in place. I doubt very much that it's gone out of alignment, but I will be adjusting these. And what we need to do is we need to feed a signal at the appropriate frequency, like 160 kilohertz, into the antenna. And then we set the level of the signal appropriately. It'll be very low. And then we check the output being the speaker output, okay, which I have connected to my dummy load so that I can see it on the scope or measure it without having to listen to it. And we adjust the various points they give us till we get a maximum on that on the output. Now, what I will be looking at on the output is an AC voltmeter. It's going to be measuring the tone that I'm using to modulate that carrier. So I'll be sending in 160 kilohertz with a 600 hertz tone. Now what I'm going to hear is 600 hertz tone, and I can measure the amplitude of that with an AC voltmeter and thereby get the peaks. So that's the normal thing, and as I mentioned in the previous video, if you want to look at some really detailed way to do this, I'm not going to go into that much detail. You can go to the Satellite 2100 video where I do exactly that, and if I remember correctly, I did it in exhaustive detail, okay? But we'll follow the instructions anyway, and this should be quite easy, at least for these first 3. When it comes to the other frequencies here, the other bands here, we've got 2 alignments to do. We've got the RF alignment on the main band, and then also one for the band spread. But one thing at a time, let me set this up and let's get cracking. This procedure is pretty much the same for all the bands, so I'll show you the first one here. 160 kilohertz is what they tell us to do. They want us to set it to 160 kilohertz. They want us to have a modulated signal in here. It's an AM type modulation, depth of 30%, and a tone of 1 kilohertz. Okay, the amplitude of this is as low as this thing will go, okay? The signal from a signal generator comes in here into the switch attenuator. I have, 9 dB of attenuation. I've got the dummy antenna switched on, and now it comes out of here and goes to the antenna input of the radio, which is the external antenna over here. Now on the top here, I've got long wave selected. I've got external antenna selected. The speaker output is coming along here, going to the dummy load. This means I can switch between speaker and dummy load. I'll leave it on speaker for now. I've got these 2 going off to the AC millivoltmeter, which is over here, set to AC volts. I'll probably leave it on about 1 volt. I don't want a very big tone or loud tone, so that should be good enough. I think we're ready. So what do they tell us to do? They want us to send the signal in. We're sending it in at 160, and we have to set it to 160 on the dial. Now 160 on the dial is this dot over here. I'm going to look at it front on. You won't be able to see exactly what I see, but that's at 160. And my tone is a little bit higher. So I need to put it at 160, and now I'm ready to do the adjustments. They tell us to adjust 3 adjustments on the 160 kilohertz. One is number 15, one is number 17, and one is number 19. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And I've got the signal on dummy load, so we don't have to listen to it. And now we just need to watch the meter. So 15 is the second row, that guy there. Could probably do with listening to it first. We just tune away and see if it's gone somewhere else. No, that's right. Put the volume on max, but I could probably do with a little bit more amplitude. Yeah, that's better. Back to dummy load. We don't need the noise. So 15 is done. 19. It's another coil, which I need to remove the wax from. Wrong way. Whoa, whoa. That was a heck of a change. That is a peak. That was some change. Okay, good. Just becomes more sensitive. And now 17 is that guy there, which is a capacitor, so I might need to break the seal on it. Maybe it won't affect it when I touch it. Yeah, I can use a metal screwdriver on this one because it seems to be grounded. What is happening here? That's amazing. I'm going to lower the amplitude again because it's just far too high. This is incredible. I don't know why it's so... No, something's wrong. This thing could not be so out of alignment. Well, it seems to be. Drop the amplitude again. There's our peak. That's a peak. Let me go back to the other two. Make sure that they still peaked. That's a peak. And that one is set. Let's see this one again. Okay, we've done that one. What's next? Now they tell us to tune to 370. Now I know 370 is that one at the top there. I'll set the signal generator to 370 kilohertz. Put the speaker on. Where is it? It's a bit low. Okay. There it is. Dummy load. And now we need to adjust 16, 18A, and 20. 16 is a cap. It is the one above the 15 we've just done. So it's way up there. Let me give myself a tone again, just to orient myself first. Okay, we're on it. Dummy load. That's that one there. Then 18A is this guy here. Let's see what's going to fit on here. That's pretty much peaked. Yep, that's peaked, and 20 is that capacitor down there. Oh, here we go again. Okay, that's done. Beauty. I'll recheck that quickly and let's see, let's just do that. That one. Very little change on there. And 20. Nope, that's peaked. Okay. What is next? I just got to tell you, I went back a few times. I had to go back a few times between the 160 and the 370. But now we've got the 240 and we have to adjust this guy here for a maximum, which is a little bit difficult. I think that's about it. This is a tough one. This is that spring on that tuned coil that we have, which we don't have for the medium wave. Okay, so RF alignment of the long wave has been done. Now the medium wave will be pretty much the same, so I won't bore you with that. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, and if anything interesting comes up, I'll let you know. Well, sometimes I get lucky and sometimes I just don't. This is the fine-tuning for the shortwave 1, and as I was setting it to the middle, which is where it's supposed to be when you do the RF alignment, this thing just started spinning and it broke. So I got to figure out, there's not much turn here. This thing has got a there's an inductor there, there's a coil there, you can see that, and then this thing is a ferrite that has a string on both ends, and as you turn that end, it'll pull it one way or the other. So it'll go in and out, in and out. Out, less inductance, in, more inductance. Now, I think this is about the travel of this thing. Now, this coil was also hanging loose, so I had to be careful that this thing's got continuity. So I'm going to have to figure a way. I think this goes around like this. I think so. And then it does a couple of turns there and it meets the top one. So I'm going to have to replace this top one with a bit of string. And I don't know if it's going to be calibrated or not. Well, that's come off. So I'm going to have to try and replace this somehow. And I don't know if... I don't think calibration is a big deal on this thing. But, you know, you want to get it as close as possible. So I'm going to try that and see what I can do. Well, folks, that was a real pain. I have got it, sort of. It's moving in and out, probably not quite halfway, which is what I wanted. but that is the best I'm going to be able to do. This is not easy to work with. Trying to add on little pieces of string where they don't exist. So now I'm going to put this thing back. There's 2 screws in the front that hold this in there. I've got this whole thing came out. So then I've got to put that back. And hopefully this will hold. Okay, let me try that. Okay, that's done. This little solder board or tag board went in there. It goes in there. And you have to solder that point to ground to the chassis. There's a little gap in there. And then there's 2 little clips. Once you've got that in, you've got to bend them so this stays solid. And our fine tuning is now working. Now, I don't know whether it's calibrated. Remember, this thing is, when I did the RF alignment for the shortwave one, which I've finished, this was supposed to be set in the middle, so I'm going to do it again. And hopefully we get a decent range either way. I'm not sure what the range is supposed to be. Usually a few kilohertz left and right. So I'll have to just recheck that, and then the RF alignment of those 3 bands will be done. Let's do a quick test of these 3 bands. I've got it on long wave, mini whips in there. Don't know what that is. That's bloody good reception.
The Prime Minister said he had seen no evidence for the claims. The MP Andrew Bridgen has already submitted a letter of...
I think that's Radio 4 from the UK, yeah. It'll be about 200 kilohertz. I think it's 198. Here's my beacon. Should be able to get RTE here. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Never mind. Let's try medium wave. This is Canary Islands.
Twitter lo carga el diablo. Le dio me gusta a un tweet en el que ponía: os digo una cosa que le gustaría ver, claro, es que también la gente. Y Saúl le dio.
Portada de hoy en ADC que firma Pablo Muñoz. Para seguir en la Moncloa.
De la cera, cara o cruz, que juega su futuro en la competición.
Hoy contactos en Berlín con la jefa.
Com presidente dos Estados Unidos, o presidente Jimmy Carter apelava em...
This is the Madeiran channel, the only one. That's it. And then if you go to shortwave 1, you can bugger all anyway. Oh. Doesn't surprise me because I never get anything on shortwave 1 anyway, or at least that part of the band. So, after that little exercise with the fine-tuning, which nobody's ever going to use, this is why sometimes being a restorer is a little bit more difficult than being a repairer. You've got to repair it anyway, even though nobody's going to use it. I certainly won't. I'm going to take a break for now. I want to do the RF alignment of the drum tuners. Not sure if I'm going to record that because I've done it before twice on the Satellite 2100 and the 3400. I'll see how it goes, and then I want to get on to the FM, And then of course we still got the cabinet to sort out. So, well, I want to thank you for your company, and hope you've enjoyed that. Hope you got something from it. I got a lot of frustration with that, but that's my problem. And I'll see you back soon for another one. If you enjoyed that, click like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so on Patreon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now, and stay safe.